GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of December. Let's jump straight into it. And if we take a look at Bitcoin, we will see that the level we talked about yesterday, which was the 618 Fibonacci retracement, also with this ascending trend line coming in, that actually held as support. So obviously I uploaded the video just before the open. Upon the open, we actually came down, we tagged that level as support, and now we're pushing on higher. So this is really encouraging to see. We've got back above, or we had got back above 96,000. Obviously, Bitcoin currently just below that level, but I'm not too concerned as long as price continues to hold on a closing basis above this 20-day moving average and above this ascending trend line. We look to be forming a bit of a triangle. Like I say, we had a triangle back here. Now we are forming what is a larger triangle. Bitcoin likes to form these triangles in bull runs. I saw these happen time after time in 2021, and it looks like Bitcoin is starting to reform its favorite charting pattern in this bull run as well, which is, I mean, encouraging to see, but it's also pretty useful to see if you know what to look for and you know how to trade these. So yeah, I think Bitcoin lightly gets reaccumulated here. Like I say, still holding the midpoint, which is the 50%. And I really think to myself, it's a matter of time before Bitcoin breaks out of 100,000. And I think this very well could have been the low for December. We talked about the fact that December lows tend to come in early on every month. We've seen obviously lows coming in early on in August, September, October, November. December looks to be doing nothing different. So it's great to see that these patterns and these trends are still working. Obviously, we talked about the moon phases as well, the fact that we're likely to see some consolidation when a bearish moon prints, when a new moon prints. And obviously, this means we've got a couple of weeks now until a bullish moon or full moon printing, which will likely give us the impetus for probably the next rally up. But I don't know if Bitcoin waits until then. I don't know if it waits until the middle of the month. Potentially, we start to move up a lot sooner than that, maybe as early as next week. But like I say, I'm expecting some consolidation. Also, it's encouraging to see that altcoins are really starting to run. If we just go on to the other Bitcoin chart where the path has been drawn, I've just extended this path out a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic. Take the moon phases back off, and as you can see, I'm really expecting something like this to play out. Obviously, we came up, we had the retest of around sort of 98, 99,000. We've come back, we've retested the middle of the range as support at this 95,000 area. Now I think we probably just consolidate sideways for up to another week. Maybe, like I say, this has it until the end of this week, but I'm thinking the breakout probably comes next week. Of course, this could extend a little bit further into potentially the sort of more middle of December. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But at the moment, things are looking really good here. And like I say, I think this breakout comes probably by the middle of the month. I think Bitcoin will be above 100,000. And just looking at the liquidation data, we can see there's actually more shorts in the market than there's currently longs, which for a bull run, I mean, you would expect to see there to be far more longs and shorts, which tells me that either you've got traders which are hedging themselves, they've got long spot portfolios and they're using the derivatives to hedge their positions, or actually you've got traders that are just not believing in this rally. They're thinking that Bitcoin should come down and it should fall back to the 70,000s. It should go and fill the CME gap. And yes, the majority of these gaps do get filled, but they don't have to fill right away. I personally think that gap might not get filled up until over a year in advance. It might not get filled up until the next bear market. So we just have to go with the probabilities. Right now, there's a lot more information telling me that Bitcoin is likely to put in another up move before it actually comes down and make a deeper correction. And if we just scroll down and look at the liquidation heat map data, this is just over the last 24 hours, we can actually see that there is now this build-up of liquidations just above the price here. Obviously, we spoke about on the sort of 1 week, 2 week outlook, we still have liquidations up around the 100K mark. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think Bitcoin will probably grind a little bit further sideways. Obviously, that allows liquidity to build up higher either side of the range, and I think we are in for a explosive move, probably by the middle of December, if I had to guess. And yeah, I mean, I see no reason really to adjust this path. Like I say, I talked about the possibility that we could come down and sweep this low, but for now, buyers are stepping in. It's likely people waiting for lower prices here are going to get front run. It is more likely in a bull run that people get front run than they do get in and then start to get punished for holding long positions. It just happens time and time again. Don't short in a bull market, and don't be too stubborn with your entries. A lot of the time, you just have to remember that right now, risk is to the upside. Total market cap of cryptocurrency is expanding, and this is really where you want to be in long positions, and you want to stay in those positions. You want to sit on your hands and hold on tight. And actually, a lot of the action right now is taking place in the altcoins. And one of the reasons for that is obviously Ethereum. So we've seen Ethereum show some really nice price action starting to push up towards this descending trend line. We'll keep on mentioning it because it is a big, big target for me, is for Ethereum to come up to around that sort of 3,800 to 3,850. When this trend line breaks out, that is when I really, really expect altcoins to go completely parabolic. And to be honest, adding to altcoin positions here, adding to positions in Ethereum, into Solana, you're really just front running what will be an explosive alt season. And we're not even there yet. It's really going to get going when this trend line breaks. So as tempting as it might feel to want to wait for a deeper correction, or want to wait for some sort of more, more consolidation, more pullback. If you're in leverage, maybe you're thinking about taking profits. I would just try to remind yourself that this still is yet to break out. And when it does break out, I think we'll see an absolute explosion in the meme coins, especially in Ethereum meme coins. If we just move over to Solana as well, you've got Solana consolidating at its prior all-time highs, and it looks good for me. I mean, we form a long wick here. We've obviously got buying coming. We've got big demand coming in. I think Solana will also start to move, and I expect the whole altcoin market to just absolutely explode when both Ethereum and Solana break out. This may well coincide with Bitcoin taking out 100,000. Potentially, we see Bitcoin take out 100,000. We see Ethereum and Solana push up to the highs. Maybe dominance has a little bit of a throwback. So as we see with dominance, Bitcoin dominance really starting to come down, potentially when Bitcoin breaks out of 100,000. We see a little bit of a bounce in Bitcoin dominance. So we could just put on a path here to chart this. Let's go to a daily as well, because trying to do paths on the weekly is a bit more tricky. But if we are, what's happened here? Right. Right. Let's grab this. So what I would expect to see is maybe a little bit more downside as Bitcoin consolidates. I don't think we'll go as low as 50%. We might do, but I'm then expecting something like this. So call it into the sort of end of the second week of December. And this will coincide with Bitcoin breaking out from 100,000, and then altcoins go on a really big run, and potentially we sort of come down under 50%. And maybe at that point, and I don't know if this all happens in December. Potentially it takes a little bit longer to happen. Maybe that's a little bit too aggressive. But You can see what I mean. Potentially, it does something like this, and yeah, sort of comes down like into the end of the year, and then I think maybe in January time we get a bit more of a pullback, and potentially this sort of rises again, and then comes off again into sort of Q1 of next year. So that is very, very vaguely something that I'd be expecting Bitcoin dominance to do. Obviously, altcoins to have bit of a retrace when Bitcoin breaks out from 100K, but then ultimately altcoins sort of do sort of rally again into the new year, really into Q1, and then, like I've said, potentially we get more of a pullback, a market-wide pullback in January time. But for me, that will only happen when we see a full rotation take place. And what that means is right now we've had Bitcoin run, we've seen Ethereum, Solana run, we've seen some of the mid caps start to run, some of the large cap memes start to run. We haven't really seen those small caps, those micro caps, those mid cap, low cap memes run as hard as the large caps. So, like I say, I think that rotation probably starts to take place once Bitcoin gets above 100,000, and then we probably get into a local high territory early next year. So nothing's changed in terms of the outlook. If we take a quick look at the DXY, we can see the DXY is just consolidating, pushing up a little bit. As long as we remain below this high here, I don't really have any major concerns around the DXY pushing up. Of course, it can push up to 107. It can continue to consolidate. I do think at some point it will come down, and at that point, that's likely to coincide with crypto potentially making a final leg in this bull run higher. If we see this move happen at some point next year, whether it happens later next year or potentially in the first half of next year, and potentially the crypto market tops out a little bit earlier than it usually does, with people trying to front run the cycle high this time. That is certainly something I'm open to. I mean, my base case is at the moment is that we will top out at the end of 2025, but that doesn't necessarily have to happen. And as a trader, you always have to be aware of different potential outcomes, and be open to the fact that you might be wrong about something. So that's what makes a trader a good trader. So DXY consolidating, stock markets, S&P on its all-time highs, NASDAQ on its all-time highs. Look, I mean, this is just really full risk on right now. We had this news breaking yesterday that a couple of warships were attacked. US warships got attacked. We also had the news that South Korea was moving to martial law. I mean, all of these headlines would normally dump markets pretty hard, and the market is just rallying. And when you see this type of price action, when you have bad news coming out and markets push on higher, this is a really bullish sign. I really remember back in 2021, at the end of 2021, early 2022, and I remember some big news coming out for Bitcoin, and they were talking about Bitcoin being accepted as payments on NZR, and you had Sailor coming out. And there was quite bullish news, and Bitcoin could just not catch a bid. It was just selling off. And people were getting very euphoric and starting to feel like, yeah, we're going to go again. This was early 2022. And I remember people were saying, no, it's an extended cycle. And I remember when that news came out, this what should be positive news for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was just sort of down only, it really told me that, okay, this is it. The bear market's here. We're going much lower. And for me, it's the inverse right now. The fact that bad news is coming out and the markets just keep on climbing higher. As the saying goes, bull markets like to climb the wall of worry. I think we are going not a little bit higher. I think we're going a lot higher. Stock markets, cryptos, Bitcoin, everything I think is about to explode. And I can see far higher prices for Bitcoin into the new year. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Like I say, just to summarize, The path still looks good. Nothing's changed. Bitcoin hanging out at 96,000. I still expect there will be a all-time high breakout for Bitcoin coming very soon. As long as we can remain above this ascending trend line, Bitcoin looks to be putting in a nice bullish ascending triangle here, which is a very bullish chart pattern. And like I say, liquidation heat map looks good, plenty of ammo or fuel for us to push higher if Bitcoin does start to push higher from yesterday's high today. I think it is only a matter of time before 100K breaks out, and I really don't see lower prices. Like I said, I don't think Bitcoin will trade below 87,000 a week ago. I think right now it's looking less and less likely it will trade below 90,000, probably not below yesterday's low. That for me would be a bit of a line in the sand. If we break next to yesterday's low, I do see us probably coming down to test this low here at 90,000. But until that happens, I'm remaining fully long, fully positioned. And yes, this market looks like it wants more. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's stream, please do smash a like on this video. Subscribe if not done so already. I will be back with another video, hopefully later on today or tomorrow. I'll be looking at some altcoins and looking more importantly at some entries into altcoins or where potentially you could take a position if you're sat on the side, as altcoins really are where it's at right now. We're seeing some crazy gains. And I think, look, if you're getting into cryptocurrency right now, you're probably a little bit late getting into Bitcoin. I do expect Bitcoin can do very well. It might do up to, I think, a 2x for the rest of this cycle. Ethereum maybe a 3x, Solana maybe a 3x, 4x, 5x. But the altcoins, I still think we've got 5 to 10x potential in many of them. That's the majors. Lower caps, I think, even more. So I'll be sharing some of those picks with you. Some of these picks I've already talked about on my altcoin video or my meme coin high cap conviction videos. So if you haven't watched those, go and check those out, because that'll give you a bit of a sort of peek into some of the alts I'll be covering on the next one. But yes, thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you all again soon. GM.